maybe he was tempted. Like, what are you talking about? A grown man was tempted by a child. Like, these things.
Ain't no way in the West fucking hell a grown ass man is gonna be tempted by a kid. Hey, yo, what's happening, peoples? It's your boy Blaze here, back at you with another one here for Venomous Reactions, and today it's gonna be an intriguing video. And this one is called Nickelodeon is Done. Exposed plus childhoods ruined. And this has to stem from the Quiet on Set documentary that's going on right now, and I haven't watched the documentary. I'll be honest with you. I have not watched it, but I heard people talking about it, and it's very on the sicko side of things. And Dan Schneider, you sick son of a bitch. I'm sorry, but not sorry. But you're gonna get yours. Like, there's a special place in hell for people like you, and I'm just being real. Yeah. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot to unpack here, so without further ado, let's just jump into it.
You are?
Marilyn.
Me and Logan are right.
My name is Mavis. Take a picture with
Throwback Nickelodeon TV. You love to see it.
If you grew up watching All That, The Amanda Show, and Drake and Josh, things might never be the same for you looking back after watching the new investigation discovery series on Max called Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, where former child stars and ex-Nick employees are sitting down to expose the network, detailing shocking and horrifying events that happened behind the scenes, and even making you rethink some of the content that was put out there for children to view. I recently talked about how Dan Schneider has responded to the series, but we're
hold on. We gotta go back to that. Bro looks sick. I'm just keeping it a buck. Like, bro looks sick. He looks sick in the head. And for what I've been hearing people talking about in social media, Discord, bruh. Like I said, it's going to be a lot to unpack here, but it really leads me to interpretation to what to expect when I actually sit down and watch the documentary. But man, I don't think my mind is ready for that. I'm being honest. I don't think my mind is ready for that. But it's here now. Might as well talk about it.
About how Dan Schneider has responded to the series, but we're going to be talking about some of the biggest revelations from the series, along with how the public has responded and some other former Nick stars, which has actually got.
And honestly, people has been voicing their opinions on social media about the documentary, and even former stars of Nickelodeon or associates of said former child stars, the support has been overwhelming. And people are starting to be more comfortable with coming out with more details than what the documentary was letting on, for what I observed. So, this is what happens when the floodgates are open and people are starting to come forward. It's gonna get more graphic. Man. The shit you see on social media nowadays and people talking about it, whew, you can only imagine.
Gotten them in some trouble. In the past, I've talked about what's been said about the famous Kids Network, as former child stars such as Jeanette McCurdy have come out to talk about their experience on set. When Jeanette released her memoir 2 years ago, in it she included several shocking revelations from her years working at Nickelodeon, things that happened on set and behind the scenes between her and her mom. In the book, Jeanette detailed the exploitation she faced at the hands of someone named the Creator. The Creator was Dan Schneider, a former Nickelodeon executive,
of course,
the one responsible for shows such as shows, iCarly, Sam and Cat, Zoe 101, Victorious, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, All That, Keenan and Kel, and several others. He was the network's golden boy and responsible for so many careers. But he's also someone who has a ton of allegations against him, and over the years, people have grown disgusted by what they've heard about him. And rewatching a lot of these shows back, the things that are written into them have people completely sick by him and the network. Nickelodeon announced in 2018 that they would no longer be working with Dan, and there were several publications that had reported on complaints about Dan's alleged behavior, including his
allegations of improper misconduct, if that's even a thing. I mean, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Indecent exposure and misconduct. And for you to be a child star on a kid's platform, that is scarring. And for him to be the brainchild behind so many great shows, to have those type of allegations, there's a special place in hell for people like that. I'm saying.
Alleged well-documented temper issues. An internal investigation had been done with the company, and they claim to have found that he was difficult to work with and prone to tantrums and angry emails, but says any other misconduct was not.
I wonder why.
Investigation. Despite that being what the network claimed, for years now his name has been thrown around with accusations of being inappropriate. In Jeanette's book, she opened up about her negative experience on set of iCarly, with claims that she would be visibly uncomfortable on set, recalling a time during a kissing scene with her co-star Nathan Kress that she was being shouted at by the creator and had to reshoot the scene several times. Jeanette also wrote about being pictured in a bikini at a wardrobe fitting and having the creator encourage her to drink alcohol despite not being of drinking age. She says her mom was present for some of the things that happened while working on set, but would brush anything negative off as just this being a part of Hollywood. Following her exit from Nickelodeon, she claims she was offered $300,000 from Nickelodeon to never speak publicly about her experience there, and she declined the offer.
Of course, hush money. And they wanted to pay her to keep quiet, but it got to a point where it's bottled up inside you and you can't keep quiet about something that's traumatic. And that was detrimental to your childhood and basically your growing up while on set. But shit like this is the reason why people hate Hollywood. You want proof? There it is.
Since the release of the Investigation Discovery series, people have been speculating on who might have actually taken that hush money, believing that she couldn't have been the only one to have been given an offer like that.
Of course not.
In the series, they truly discussed so much. It was very disturbing, I must warn, with tons of triggering topics, and the fact that this will make you remember these childhood shows much differently afterwards. The 4-part docuseries focused heavily on Dan, his career, and what he was bringing to set. 2 female writers for The Amanda Show were featured in the documentary, having said that working with Dan was like being in an abusive relationship. They claimed he didn't think women were funny. They also said that he would play adult content on his computer and make people do uncomfortable things like give him massages. Which, since the release of the Quiet on Set docuseries, Dan had come forward in a video he posted to his YouTube channel where he did admit to the massages. One writer, Jenny, and her lawyer filed complaints against the production company for gender discrimination, hostile work environment, and harassment. A settlement was reached, but she says her career suffered from this as a result. And speaking of the...
Exactly. No matter how much hush money you try to offer, the damage of one's career does not go away. But for this motherfucker to have adult content on the kid's platform, and he would just play willingly on his computer, knowing the fact that what he's filming on set is kid content and teenager content for a kids show platform such as Nickelodeon. Let me continue on before I lose a little bit of sanity and religion. in this video. Like I can't.
The Amanda Show, several points were made about this show in the series. People found so many moments uncomfortable from these shows that Dan was behind, and this was one of them. There was a scene discussed where he is in a hot tub with a very young Amanda Bynes, which just feels so unnecessary. She was a child in a swimsuit and he's a grown man. Like, why are they in a hot tub together for a scene? It was also made known that one of the characters that she played
just sick and twisted, bro.
in the Amanda Show was Penelope Taint. And writers in the docuseries claimed Dan was inspired by the word taint, and he wanted to be like his little secret that that's what the word was. And tons of people have just been shocked and disgusted to learn this because from their memory it was Penelope Tate, but this is just unbelievable. It just felt like in so many of these shows that those were supposed to be for kids, they wanted to have kids do these very adult-like things almost to just try and see what they could get away with. I do remember
Precisely. And for them to perform such acts to see what they could get away with, that just goes to show how sick and twisted, how sick and twisted things were behind the scenes. And keep in mind, this is just a review of the documentary. Imagine me watching the documentary itself. I'll be scarred for life.
That when I was a kid, my mom did not like me watching the Amanda Show or all that, finding things really inappropriate whenever she would sit down and see me watching it. And I always thought it was so ridiculous because I'm watching a freaking kids show, you know? But now as an adult watching this back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I see why she didn't want me to watch this. Like, she was very much seeing the things
different eyes.
But I did see a ton of other people on TikTok talking about the fact that their parents also said the same thing about not wanting them to watch this show because they found something weird about it. Fans have heavily wondered what happened to Amanda Bynes over the years, as Dan Schneider was so heavily involved in her life and her career. It seems he saw her as his ticket out of children's television, but
yeah, honestly, Amanda Bynes, she unraveled, and people could not understand as to why. But thanks to this documentary, we now know why. Because she had to go through some shit. Not only in life, but just being on set. And that's scary to think about.
In the end, it didn't work out for him following her, and he came back to prioritizing children's programming again. And there's just so many questionable scenes that he was responsible for, like we talked about the Amanda Show, but looking back, they also showed scenes of Ariana Grande from Victorious where she's pouring water on herself while she's laying in a bed, and it just isn't appropriate at all. There just seems to be so many adult innuendos happening in the scenes of these shows. There's also one where she's playing with this pickle-shaped toy and then later on tries to gag herself while telling a joke. She's also seen squeezing a potato in one of the other scenes. And watching it back, the adults being interviewed for this series were shocked that this was even aired on Nickelodeon. There was also discussions of how certain stars were treated over others, as the All That alums Brian and Giovanni discussed their experiences on set. Brian talked about how he felt racially stereotyped in the roles given to him as a rapper named Lil Fetus and a teen who sold cookies in a Girl Scout sketch that was basically a reference to drug dealing. He also said his mom had
Little Fetus. If that ain't the most stereotypical name for a character, the shit you watch growing up and you looking at it from different eyes, it just makes you shake your head like, what in the everlasting hell is this? Like, what the fuck?
Called out odd behavior on set when they were talking about a lot of the things that have since come out about predators on set. So she was noticing some weird stuff. And to get into one of the very dark topics of this series, Drake Bell was a huge part in this. And at first, a lot of people weren't interested in what he had to say, given that in 2021, he had pleaded guilty to a felony charge of attempted child endangerment and a misdemeanor charge of disseminating matter harmful to juveniles related to inappropriate text he sent to a teenage girl in 2017. He was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service. But in the series, it seemed to reveal that he had suffered horrible things as a child himself while acting on Nickelodeon by his dialogue coach, Brian Peck, whom he was introduced to on set of the second season of The Amanda Show.
Wow.
And let me make this clear because tons of people have been asking after hearing his name, but Brian Peck has no relationship to Josh Peck. This was the first time that Drake was speaking out about the abuse that he had endured during his time in Nickelodeon. He said Brian had befriended him and would invite him to his house for acting lessons, and horrific acts had occurred. And it wasn't until now that it's been revealed that Drake was the unnamed minor in the 2004 conviction of Brian.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for these sickos out here, man, because they will bait you in any way possible. And I saw the clip of Drake Bell talking about his experience with Brian Peck, and even I wanted to reach through the screen and punch Brian Peck right in the face. Woo! Let's continue on.
Peck. It was extremely hard to listen to this part, mostly because Drake Bell's father had really noticed Brian's behavior and was very weary about Drake hanging out with him, did not want him to be left alone with him. He even at one point had expressed concerns that he felt about Brian's behavior towards Drake to people at the network, but he was dismissed.
I can see why.
That's just how he is. He's really friendly, but Drake's dad did not trust
friendly
him,
my
and
ass.
rightfully so. But Brian got very close with Drake, ended up convincing him that his dad was not being a good manager, and Drake went on to be cared for by his mom. Drake's dad tried to warn his mom not to let Drake be alone with Brian, but that ended up being what happened in the end, that he had
unfortunately
one time with Brian once Brian had convinced him to not really have his dad in his life.
And look at this fool. He looks crazy, deranged. The eyes here. Woo!
In talking about what happened to him behind closed doors with Brian, he went on to say that one day he was on the phone with his mother and just exploded. He told her everything, and his mom called the police, and Brian was arrested. According to the Los Angeles Police Department release, officers arrested Brian on August 19, 2003. Court records show that he pleaded no contest to 2 charges, and the court found him guilty on both. He served more than a year in jail and was made to register as an S offender. And I know we're talking about Nickelodeon here, but there's something to be said about children's television as a whole in general, in the way that it did not seem like anyone was out to protect children back then, and hopefully things are better now, but I just don't know. But it was made known that after all of this, after everything, after he had to register as an offender, he still got a job at Disney working on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody doing voiceover work. And it's
the fact that Disney picked this dude up. I know they faced a whole lot of backlash due to hiring this sicko. I'm pretty sure they faced backlash. But wow. To only have a year in jail and to be registered on the registry as, I can't say it, but yet he got a job at another kid-oriented platform like Disney, out of all places. This is why you do your research when hiring people, because you need background. You need background information to make that initial decision to bring people on. And if they see like there's a red flag, oh, no hire. You gotta go ASAP.
Because he was a very connected man. He had a lot of people that he knew in the industry, and that is what is so scary about the industry, is that people are so connected and they're willing to look the other way and believe one person because of money and power and things like that. And it's just so disgusting, especially when you hear about the fact that Drake talked about when they went to court. He was on one side of the room with his mom and his brother, and Brian had all these people, big name people, show up for him in the courthouse supporting him. And Drake had to give a statement.
That's scary.
He made a statement to those people, calling them out for being there to support someone who hurt him. And I just can't believe that people sat there and knew what he had done to Drake Bell, and they were willing to just sit there. It was also revealed that people that knew Brian also wrote letters to defend his character, and a lot of these people weren't just family and friends. They were big name stars, you guys, were writing.
That's the whole thing with money and power and connections in the industry. Like, they don't care what allegations you're facing. We are going to defend your good name, despite the horrific allegations that's being brought upon you. And that is scary. Like, people are willing to look the other way just so you can skate by on something that's horrific as this. I can't.
These letters to defend Brian, and it's not known if they knew, what exactly went on.
Oh, they
in
knew.
This case at the time
they
of
knew.
them writing the letters, and these might not be the same people that were in the courtroom that day, so they might have not even known that Drake was involved in this. But there were 41 people who wrote character letters for Brian, and some of these people were victim blaming, you guys. They were saying that, maybe he was tempted. Like, what are you talking about? A grown man was tempted by a child. Like, these things.
Ain't no way in the West fucking hell a grown ass man is gonna be tempted by a kid. What are you talking about? People that get tempted by kids, like I said, just like this sicko, there's a special place in hell for those type of people. Like, get the fuck out of here. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Unbelievable that were written in these letters. One of the bigger names that has been revealed to defend Brian at the time and write a letter was actor James Marsden, who wrote that he's known Brian since he was a teenager. Will Friedle and Ryder Strong from Boy Meets World also wrote letters, but have since come out to say that they regret supporting him. The doc also named Alan Thicke, Taryn Killam, Joanna Kearns, Kimmy Robertson, and Tom DeSanto as some who also wrote letters back then. And something that is just so upsetting is that Taryn was also later in an episode of Drake and Josh, and Drake and Josh was shot after all of this happened, where they went to court and Brian was arrested. So to know that Taryn wrote that letter and then they worked together is just crazy. I mean, he might not have
That's
ever
an
known
understatement.
that Drake was involved in that case, and Drake probably never knew that he had written that letter because those letters were sealed until now. But it's just crazy.
Until now is right.
And realize. In a statement to People, Nickelodeon said, "Now that Drake Bell has disclosed his identity as the plaintiff in the 2004 case, we are dismayed and saddened to learn of the trauma he has endured, and we commend and support the strength required to come forward." Other details about Brian were later revealed, as All That cast member Kyle Sullivan revealed that in his home, Brian had a signed self-portrait painting of infamous serial killer John Wayne Gacy, and that the two of them had developed a pen pal relationship. He kept piles of letters and photos from John in his nightstand next to his bed. Truly so eerie that people like this were just walking around Nickelodeon, working with children. And he wasn't the only employee to be arrested at Nickelodeon for this type of behavior. 2 other Nickelodeon employees at the time had also been arrested for things involving children. And as a result of all of this, people have really just been rethinking the content that they were watching on Nickelodeon as a child and really reflecting on the things being said here. And at the end of the
things you enjoyed as a kid on TV, you're looking at it from a different pair of eyes, and you begin to notice, like, yo, this is what I watched growing up. It's scary. It's scary that you can look at that with adult eyes and see what you couldn't see as a kid, and that just changed your whole perspective on some of some of the stuff you watched growing up. Like, damn. Oh, wow.
For the series, there is a black screen that says that Nickelodeon told producers that the network investigates all formal complaints as part of our commitment to fostering a safe and professional workplace. We have adopted numerous safeguards over the years to help ensure we are living up to our own high standards and the expectations of our audience. I think at this point, a lot of people are just side-eyeing the network as a whole, though. But as a result of the series coming out, discussions have been had all over online with people calling on former Nickelodeon stars to use their platforms to speak out, which I will say this seems wrong. I mean, we cannot ask people to speak out not knowing what their experiences might have been. They might not feel comfortable or want to talk about something like this. It might be triggering. You just don't know. So that seems...
I mean, some people may feel comfortable using their platforms to talk about it because they feel safe. They feel safe, like discussing what they experience. Some people may do it. Some people may they may have to work the courage up to that point. But some of these people are using their platforms to speak out, and like I said earlier, the support is overwhelming. Hey, you cannot deny that.
It's really inappropriate for people to be asking people to speak out. We just don't know what's going on in other people's lives. But something else inappropriate that has been called out, though, I will say, is the cast of Ned's Declassified, who all have a podcast together, were live the other day seemingly joking about the series, and people found the whole thing to be in very poor taste.
Daniel,
I told you.
Daniel, we told you never to speak about that. Get back in your hole, Daniel, and give me your holes. Sorry, we shouldn't joke about this. We really shouldn't.
This is awful.
You should not.
This is about us. Listen, our set was not like that.
I've heard stories about good old Ned's Classified. Yeah, that's a whole nother story, a whole nother time. But yeah.
And no, it's awful. The Drake Bell is that's crazy to hear. That is. And that never came out, which is really wild.
Drake Bell responded, quote tweeting this on Twitter, saying, "Ned's declassless. This is wild. Laugh it up, guys. Laugh it up. Give me your holes? Really?" And the cast has been receiving tons of backlash since this has gone around. I don't know
I can see why.
They thought to even say the things that they did in this, but they are definitely hearing it from the public, that's for sure. Everyone...
Yeah, it's like basically, why would you even do that in the first place? Like, you fucking idiots. and now y'all facing backlash? Hell, y'all deserve it. Dumbasses.
Just seems to be super disgusted by what has come out from this series and wants to see the end of the network, or at least proof that they've made some sort of concrete change to the way that children's stars are treated. I think the Kids' Choice Awards this year are going to be heavily protested, in my opinion. But as of right now, that is what has been said since the series has come out and what was revealed. Let me know if you guys watched it and your thoughts on it. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.
Yeah, I can actually see the Kids' Choice Awards being heavily protested. If people watch the documentary, they will no doubt protest this, cause yeah, the whole Nickelodeon brand is now tarnished due to this documentary and the allegations that went on behind the scenes, and people are feeling comfortable talking about it because they now feel safe enough. They feel safe enough to disclose that. And I gotta give props to everyone that was on the Nickelodeon set and doing the entertainment that we all enjoyed growing up. But also I have to give credit to them, just speaking out about their experience on set and not being afraid to do so. And like it was stated in this video, like, some people may not feel comfortable talking about it. I mean, some people want to use that platform to, preach the positivity and, you know, just share their experiences with the world. And then you have some people that's a little bit on the seesaw side, like, should I talk about this or should I not? But to see them go through this, yo, I hope they all get justice. And I want them to be, I just want them to live their lives, honestly. And not be afraid to speak about, you know, they're coming up on set and being on television and being pretty much a global star, courtesy of the whole Nickelodeon brand. But there was a lot to unpack here, but let me know what your thoughts are about this, and let me know if y'all watched the documentary, and yo, let the comment section have it of your thoughts about it thus far. And as always, thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this one, and don't forget to tell your peoples across the globe, come kicking with your boys just one good solid time. Like, comment, subscribe, don't forget to share, don't forget to click that bell so you don't miss a video from the kid. You feel me? And please feel free to follow me on social media right over yonder. Now this here's your boy Blaze here saying Chuck the Deuce, and I will see y'all in the next video, and I'm out.